It's official. Justin Fields has been traded. We talked about it last night. This was one of the scenarios we kicked around, that Pickett being traded may have opened the door for this opportunity, and that any team would be smart to bring this guy in. As soon as he became backup value, as soon as Fields became a backup quarterback in terms of trade value, every team should have been involved. All 31 teams should have kicked the tires on this trade, because now this is smart. This is a smart move by the Steelers. I don't love Arthur Smith. I don't love your field general that's in charge of this situation. He's not the man for the job, but boy, what an amazing value the Pittsburgh Steelers got. And we're going to break this down and more. Appreciate you all being here. Justin Fields traded to the Steelers. We're breaking down the entire details of the trade. We've got conditions, updates from Schefter and the boys, that the 6th-round pick, which is garbage, 2025 6th-round pick, the Steelers traded to the Bears for Justin Fields, becomes a 4th-rounder if he plays 51% of the snaps. Wow. To think other teams didn't jump all over this for a 3rd-rounder, a 4th-rounder, is crazy to me. Crazy to me. The Fantasy Football Show begins now.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios.
It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live!
Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com news desk, here is your breaking news.
Wow. I mean, talk about a fall from grace, and, not shocked one single bit because of what we encountered last year with Lamar Jackson, and how we knew this would probably happen, that teams would not see the light here. And to be honest with you, I'm dumbfounded. I'm almost more shocked right now than I am at the value that Lamar Jackson didn't have once he was franchise tagged. But we called it. Fields was going to Chicago. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I said earlier on my show today why this was going to happen. 100% why. Number one, polls cannot pass on a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback again. Not to mention, really, when you think about it, 3 of them, with JD5, with Caleb, and then last year, and then also passing on Stroud. He's passed on all those quarterbacks, or he would be if he was going down this road. That's number one. You can't do that. Number two, if you fail with Fields, you're done. Poles is fired. Eberflus is fired. Everybody's fired if you fail with Fields one more time. If you bring in a rookie, you might have 2 more years because you'll get a pass if you don't, make the playoffs the year you roll Caleb out. Number 3, the most important really, is that if Fields balls out and you're right about him, you're paying him through the roof. So if they're trying to do something cheap, Fields is not something they're worried about paying. Like, he blows up, they're paying him. So the only way to do this was to go the rookie route. Caleb Williams is now the number 1 overall pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, barring any sort of big controversy that comes out, barring a horrible pro day, and then you see JD5 explode like I think he's capable of doing. But we'll get to that, neither here nor there. We're talking about the compensation that is just like giving this man away. The condition update, 2025 6th-round pick that the Steelers traded to the Bears for Justin Fields becomes a 4th-round pick. I told you a conditional would be involved. I just thought it would be a conditional second. A conditional is crazy. If he plays 51% of the snaps, they get whoopee. A 4th-round pick. This is unbelievable. This is disrespectful. And this is crazy. I don't really I can't even come close to understanding how 30 other teams didn't see this as a valuable move for their club, and at a higher cost, a competitive, let's negotiate, let's try and beat the Steelers out and let's give them the 4th rounder without it being conditional. Who gives a crap about a 4th-round pick? Who gives a crap about a 4th-round pick when you could bring in the best backup. This is the backup right now. He's being treated like a backup. It's so disrespectful. He's better than this. But as any team that once his value went from starter to backup and everybody's trading for him as a backup, why 30 other teams weren't involved? Maybe we'll find out a couple others were kicking the tires, but this is the easiest move, the best move that could have been made. So as we said last night, this was one of the options. And as we said last night, Fields was getting traded. So on that note.
Mashed potatoes.
On that note. Now I will say this. I'll say that, do I feel like I got $1 there. Do I feel like this is a good move for Fields at the end of the day? Not in 2024. I mean, I have a really, really, strong feeling, and I said this last night, that the team that acquires him at the backup money, if anybody's going to trade for him as a backup value, which is what this is, he's being traded, not even as a backup, he's being traded as a scrub. Like Kenny Pickett is worth more than Fields when you really look at this. This is crazy. I can't believe other teams didn't do this. And I have a suspicious feeling that we're going to be seeing Fields in wildcat formations, which I would do. Throw him out there as a wide back, which I would do. And if Russell Wilson falters at all, and this man's going to be on the shortest leash we've ever seen in our entire lives, Fields will be entered and injected into the lineup. That's why there's a 51% snap share percentage that kicks the 6th-rounder into a 4th-rounder in compensation. A conditional pick is what this is. I believe that the talent is far too great to not put Russell Wilson in a very sketchy, scared for his life, looking over his shoulder territory. However, these are two very good quarterbacks. The Steeler fans have to be ecstatic about this. Like, I understand Arthur Smith is not the man for the job. He's not. But how much control does he even have? Maybe that's going to be the solace here. Maybe that's going to be the saving grace for this offense. But Fields to the Steelers, if Arthur Smith is a 1-year and done, long term, this is fantastic to have two of these quarterbacks to decide between. You're paying Russell Wilson for 1 year. You're more likely to extend Fields and bring Fields in as the long-term option. I know at a glance it's going to feel like, okay, 6th-round pick, clearly Russell's the starter, and that might be the case. But don't be shocked if they have a competition, and this is a battle, a camp battle, and don't just expect Russell's getting the job. I would not expect that, but I would say that long-term, I feel like Fields is a starter. Like long-term, this is Fields' team in 2025 and beyond, and probably at some point in 2024. As much as I like Russell Wilson, he's probably as broken as Justin Fields. And guess who's sitting behind who? Guess who's nipping at whose heels? Fields. Guess who's the more likely to hang around candidate? Fields. Fields is in the driver's seat, even if he's not initially, in my opinion, long-term. And if I'm a Steelers fan, I'm very, very excited about this. I just feel like it's like you have the best horse in a horse race. Okay, you have the best horse, you have the best shoes, you have the best whip, you have the best saddle, you have the best. You just have the worst. You have the worst rider. You have the worst rider. You have a guy that's gonna steer this thing off course. You got to hope your horse stays on course. You got two horses. Either one of them could win the race. But you have the worst jockey in the history of jockeys. And so it's going to be crazy. I feel like Fields is going to 100% be the guy long term. We just don't know what it looks like out of the gate. This is their future. And if he balls out, they've got to extend him. and it's going to be expensive, but this is their future. But you want, if you're a Steelers fan, it's kind of crazy. You almost want like a very productive year, but it's shitting the bed of sorts at some level, maybe in the playoffs. Maybe you have a really good, promising year. The team builds itself up, but Arthur Smith keeps crapping the bed, and he's gone in 1 year. You need Arthur to be one and done and then build properly around what is a very good team. The Steelers have a lot of amazing pieces in place. Maybe Tomlin's the problem. You could say that in one breath, right? And then say, oh, but in the other breath, he's such a great coach during the regular season. Regular season isn't what really matters, but look at the moves that are being made. These are good moves. We can rip Tomlin apart all we want, but these are good moves. These are very good moves. Russell Wilson and Fields instead of Kenny Pickett, we are light years ahead of where we were. The only problem is we have Arthur Smith sitting in the middle. If Arthur Smith wasn't brought in, the Pittsburgh Steelers, in my opinion, would be not just a playoff contending team, but likely to win wild card weekend, maybe advance the next round. The Pittsburgh Steelers have a ton of talent. It's all going to come down to, could Arthur Smith get in the way or get out of the way? Because that's really what it comes down to. But wow, what a crazy move. What a bold and ballsy move. What a fantastic move. Whether we like the value or not, it's horrible value. It's disrespecting value to Justin Fields. What garbage, to be honest with you. A little ashamed of 30 teams in the National Football League for not making this a competitive race and sweepstakes to get Justin Fields at least a fourth rounder non-conditional. You're telling me 30 other teams didn't say, hey, I got Joe Burrow, but why not get Fields for a fourth rounder? They're offering a 6-rounder conditional. Hey, what if we just give you the straight-up 4th rounder, no condition? Here. Hey, what about a 3rd rounder? I can't believe that didn't happen. I'm literally in shock that even the Niners didn't do that with Brock Purdy in that situation. That the freaking Green Bay Packers didn't, who have Jordan Love on the rise. Some people don't want to jostle up their quarterback room and make their quarterback look over their shoulder. I get it, but as a coach, as a person that could put this player into a wildcat role, into a wildcat, or you could say wide back role, for somebody that doesn't, like, I would feel I could sleep like a baby at night if I'm the New York mother-freaking Jets and I've got Aaron Rodgers as my starter and my wide back and wildcat quarterback Fields not posing a threat, maybe even being listed as a tight end like Taysom Hill, listed as an RB as Taysom Hill. Make Aaron Rodgers feel very comfortable. I get Aaron Rodgers would be pissed off in some respects if you didn't approach him, have him as a part of this decision. But guess what's going to happen? A year, maybe a year and a half, maybe 2 years if we're lucky. What's going to happen in New York? Aaron Rodgers won't be able to play at the same level. Aaron Rodgers could get re-injured. Aaron Rodgers could tear his other Achilles, because that often happens when you have an Achilles tear. You're an older player and you're rushing back. And every player is rushing back if it's under a year. If they're running and working out and trying to get in shape under a year, all intents and purposes, you're rushing back, because the Achilles is a very volatile injury. And I know we've seen players come back from it quickly, but you don't see the ramifications till later. Look at Cam Akers, tears his Achilles again. Tears his other Achilles, which is what I predicted would happen. I said Cam Akers will tear his other Achilles. You watch. He did. So the Jets should be ashamed of themselves that they didn't say, for a 4th rounder non-conditional, they're offering a 6-rounder conditional to 4th round. We'll just give you the straight up 4th round pick. In fact, we'll give you 2 of them, 3 of them. I'll give you 5 of them. What are we doing? What are we doing? What are these teams doing? What are all of these teams doing? What are the New York Jets doing? Not getting Fields as a backup quarterback and potentially the future signal caller of the New York Jets when Aaron Rodgers walks away. What are we doing if we're Denver and we got rid of Russell Wilson and now we see Fields go play with him? What are we doing when we're the Las Vegas Raiders and we value Minshew over Justin Fields? What are we doing If we're the New Orleans Saints and we think Derek Carr is the answer, we don't need a backup plan. What are we doing even in cases like Indianapolis, where you have a running quarterback that's often injured, you have a plug-and-play replica that's named Justin Fields, and you have the ability to not say, hey, look, Fields, you're not gonna take this job from AR5. I just want you to know that, but we want you involved in the offense. We want you playing wide back. We want you in the Wildcat. We want you in there if AR5 ever gets banged up. Why would this not be the most secure move that any team can make in the National Football League? I'm literally as perplexed and dumbfounded as I was when Lamar Jackson was franchise tagged and only cost 2 first-rounders and not one NFL team went after him. Not one NFL team went after Justin Fields or Lamar Jackson when he was franchise tagged last year and cost a measly 2 first-round, 2 arbitrary, you didn't even know what picks they were, first-round picks. No one went after him. Every team that had a quarterback vacancy should be ashamed of themselves. Their mother is ashamed of themselves. I'm ashamed of them. And every team, all 30 of them, all 30 teams, every single one, everyone, I don't care who's the quarterback, I don't care if Patrick Mahomes is your quarterback, all 30 teams should be absolutely embarrassed that they allowed the Pittsburgh Steelers to take Justin Fields away for not even a 4th rounder. It's a conditional 4th rounder. It's ludicrous to me, and every single team needs to take a lap. Every single team. And C-Mac, I see, Vlad, I see Vlad. Vlad, your own team, Vlad, the Niners should have taken Fields as your backup. What are you going to do if Purdy goes down? You could win a Super Bowl with Fields injected into that roster. You know it, and I know it. The Niners system is an amazing system that makes Brock Purdy look like a top 6-7 quarterback. We both know he's not, Vlad. We both know he's not. And for you to not want, this is crazy to me. And C-Mac in the building as well. You guys out of your mind. Look at this. Look at you. Because he's not a Niner, you're against him already. If he was a Niner today, both of you Niner advocates would be in here going, hey, man, we got our best backup in the league. As soon as they're not a Niner, you're off. You're off. They're dead to you. They're dead to you. Just like Kendricks. He was the best ever until he decided to not go over to the San Francisco area. Then he was dead to you guys again. You guys are crazy if you think this is not a good move for your team. As your backup quarterback, as a wide back, especially in a Shanahan system. Out of your minds. Out of your minds. Yeah, good for Fields, says Banks. Well, we'll see, bro. We'll see what happens and how this evolves in the next year or so, and how Russell Wilson handles this. Because if Russell Wilson folds like a chair, guess what happens to Justin Fields? Justin Fields goes to the moon. Justin Fields is in a position, especially if Arthur Smith gets out of the way in 1 year. Again, if you're a Steelers fan or just a Fields owner in fantasy, especially Dynasty, you redraft, you're kind of like in a pickle. But in Dynasty, you're rooting for a very successful Fields year, but an Arthur Smith misstep. Constant misstep. You're wanting the Steelers to make bad calls when they're in the playoffs or the playoffs are on the line, but Fields is still playing good. It's a careful teeter-totter between having a productive year, having Fields look great, and having Arthur Smith be responsible for why this team doesn't advance as far as they could advance. That's what you need to have happen, because Arthur Smith can't be involved in this if Fields is going to become an absolute monster. He can't. He can have nothing to do with this. It's crazy, bro. It's crazy. Niners with the misinformation and hate once again. Smitty hate list. Niners 2 Steelers. I just got through Niners. You don't even pay attention. Clean your ears out. I just got through telling you how good the Steelers situation is and that it's only Arthur Smith in the way. Maybe go back, rewind it, and watch the beginning. Because you come in and you have no information at all. No information whatsoever. You regurgitate the same stuff over and over and over. Just constant negativity. Shape up. Shape up, Niners. Dial in. I want to hear what you guys have to say. We got a couple super chats in here. Let me hit those first. Traded for Fields last week for a 2026 second in a 1 QB. It's not bad. Seconds, I'm not like, it depends on where it is. If it's 2.1 or something, could you regret it? Potentially. But I don't like that. I don't think that's a bad trade at all. I'm in shock. Justin Fields goes for less than a bag of chips, more like the unwanted red apple. Yeah, it's crazy, bro. Thank you for the super chat, Austin. Austin's the man. Garrett with a $2 holler. ESPN reporter Russ is starting no QB competition. We'll find out what happens. We also heard Kenny Pickett was going to be on the roster. You know what I mean? Russ also told him, hey, we're going to be in there every day working hard. 48 hours later, Pickett is traded. So I'll believe it when I see it. Not to mention, it's going to be a short leash no matter what. So we should all assume Russell Wilson's the starter. The 6th round pick should tell you that, but the 4th round conditional should tell you that they're hopeful that they're wrong. 872 of you in here, punch that thumb up button. Going to have to change my username, says Kenny. Change it, Kenny. I can't wait to see what you put there, pal. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you. Dial into the phone line. Dial into the phone line.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Top super chatters of the year to single live stream. Perps with a $2.99. Ray G with a $2.50. Knock them off during this live stream. This is a very big live stream. Make your name known. Drop the biggest super chat of the year so far on a single live stream. Your boy is here to accept. And we're here to break this down. The phone lines are open. Dial in, dial in, dial in. Let's discuss this one because this is a dandy. We've got almost 900 people in the live stream, including Twitter and YouTube. We've got, I don't know how many people on Instagram right now watching, but pop on in and let's discuss this because there is a lot to go over and a lot of speculation here that honestly nobody has the answers to yet. We're all here just taking stabs at it. And what I do is different than anybody. Nobody outworks me. Nobody outworks me in this industry. No one goes live more than me. No one's live when news breaks, no matter what. When big news breaks, I just go live. I'll walk out of dinner. I wake up. I'm in my bathrobe. It doesn't matter. I walk in and I do it live. But what I do have to do is digest it live because I don't come on 3, 4, 5 hours later. So I'm literally digesting it, breaking it down in my head, reading some of the clarification tweets that are coming in, the adjustments from Shefty and the boys. Like when I'm about to press the live button, I see the conditional update that it becomes a 6th rounder to a 4th rounder with a 51% playing time situation. Those kind of things we have to do on the fly, but I think you guys understand that's the name of the game here on the Fantasy Football Show. Subscribe if you're new. No one does it more than we do. We go live every single day at 8 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday, and we're live when big news breaks, and I'm live almost every other or almost every single graveyard shift at midnight because we do more than one live stream a day, not just the 8 p.m. show. Garrett with a super chat. I'd much rather watch Fields on Sundays than Russ, which is, I think, ultimately, at the end of the day, what's going to happen, okay? I get that Russ has got the advantage, but Russell Wilson's going to be seeing ghosts in no time. And he's talking to ghosts anyways. Russell Wilson's going to lose the job at some point, I think. But if he doesn't, and let's not say he's going to for sure, I guess, if he doesn't, this is a great team. It's a great team with a horrible offensive coordinator. That's the only thing standing in its way. Defense, you've got everything. Offensive line, you've got a coach that knows how to win, but can he finish? Can he close? That's what the offensive coordinator's for, to try and get this team on a track that they haven't been able to not derail from. And I think putting Arthur Smith in place is stupid. Let's calm down. Arthur Smith is the OC, says Slayer. Exactly my point. Thank you, Slayer, for dropping the super chat. DeBalt, you're live.
What's going on, Smitty?
What's up?
Man, yeah, can't believe he went to the Steelers, but at the beginning of the season, that if he were to be traded, I would like for him to go with Tomlin, even though I know Ron Navy hates Tomlin. I like Tomlin as a HC. But yeah, I did see that on the trade, it is conditional from a 6th to a 4th rounder if he plays 51%.
Yep.
So JF1 may take a back seat, but let's just be honest. If Russ ain't getting it done, we're in week 4, they're going to put in JF1. He's going to open up the offense.
He's taking over. He's taking over at some point. He's taking over.
Yeah, it's the GM for the Steelers. I don't even know what that is, to be honest. Give him a raise. You know?
Yeah.
Give that man a raise.
Poles got completely fleeced in this one.
Oh, yeah. Now, oh, man, the Bears, they had it right there with JF1, and they could have just built a team around him.
Poles got fleeced.
Now,
you tell me what you'd rather have, Caleb Williams and a freaking 6th rounder that could be a 4th rounder, or Fields and draft Marvin Harrison Jr. Unbelievably stupid. But again, I go back to the thing of hey, you know, I don't want Fields there because I think they fail him again. So it's like a catch-22 in terms of like, will Poles succeed in any way he goes? I don't think so now. I think, could he have if he brought in the right OC? Yes. Do I think Shane Waldron's the man for either of these jobs, to repair Fields or to build up a questionable Caleb? It's got a lot of talent, but questionable qualities and things that, you know, we call red flags. I don't think Shane Waldron's the guy. So it's going to be crazy to see what happens. I certainly think that it becomes a 4th rounder at some point. I do not see Russell Wilson personally, and I'm not saying this is 100% my feeling, but it's a strong feeling I have, that Russell Wilson will not play 51% of the snaps. I think Fields will play 51% or more. I don't think the Steelers care about the conditional change, you know, because it's a 6th rounder to a 4th rounder. Like, it's not like they're going to, like, hold back and then put Fields in when it's 49%. Let's get the math guys on this. When can we insert him into the lineup? They want to win. Tomlin wants to win. Tomlin obviously loves to win. Tomlin's good at winning. He needs to win in the playoffs, though. But this is an unbelievable trade, and again, 30 other teams should be ashamed of themselves. And these fan base, you know, I know there's a lot of fan base, fandoms in here. And I know some of them are just here to trash on field. Like, anybody that comes in, like, no offense to Vlad and C-Mac, but they come in and they say, like, those type of comments, they come in and say, Field sucks. Like, you know, their intention is to come in here and trash other fan bases. It has nothing to do with the actual player. But for any team to not want to bring, like the Niners, bring this guy in as their backup quarterback. Like, you had Sam Darnold as your backup quarterback in San Francisco last year. Like, you have a problem with Justin Fields for a 6th round pick? You've got to be out of here. That's totally just a bias, you know, glasses, goggles this thick. If you don't see Fields, anybody that doesn't see Fields worth a 6th round pick that's conditional, and if it's conditional, if it moves to the conditional 4th rounder, he earned it. Okay, so you're okay with paying that. So let's treat it what it is. It's a 6th rounder. If you think, and this goes to my boy C-Mac and Vlad, they're my boys, they know I love them, or anybody else in here that's trashing on Fields right now, if your team, because you're speaking from a fandom point of view, that's the only way you're speaking. Otherwise, you're in a coma, and you're just mouthing things that you're hearing, and you don't know what you're even saying. You're in a coma, or you're speaking from a place of fandom. If you believe Fields is not worth a 6th round pick to your team, you have goggles on this thick. You have to. There's no way you can tell me the Niners aren't better off with Fields as the backup quarterback. There's no way the Bengals are a better team without Fields as a backup quarterback, or the Buffalo Bills, or the Ravens. Any team, you throw any team into this mix, Fields is the best backup quarterback in the National Football League. And anybody that thinks he's not even a good second quarterback, the best backup in the league, is speaking from a place of either regret, jealousy, or just fandom because they follow their team's lead no matter what happens. There's no other explanation. Zero. There's no way you think that the backup quarterback in San Francisco is better than Fields. There's no way you think that Jimmy Garoppolo is a better quarterback than Fields, or in Arizona that Ritter is a better quarterback than Fields. There's no way. The Cardinals traded Rondell Moore for Ritter, but they didn't want to trade a 6th-round pick for Justin Fields and keep Rondell Moore? You explain the logic to me. It's the dumbest logic around. That's my Cardinals. My Cardinals are as dumb as anybody. You're going to trade for Ritter? You're going to trade for Ritter. And I'm not saying Rondell Moore proved healthy or anything, but you're going to trade for Ritter instead of using a 6th-round pick. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. It's borderline incompetence. No, not borderline. It is incompetence. I don't care what anybody says. This is my show. It's my opinion. I'm going to say how I feel. You guys could all have your own opinions too. But it is incompetence for any team, including my Cardinals, to assume their quarterback, Ritter, is better than taking a gamble, if you want to call it that, and say he's broken on Justin Fields for a 6th-rounder. Not to mention, what kind of person wants to call in right now and tell me Fields isn't worth putting in as a slash-type player into their offense? Please call in. Please, C-Mac or Vlad, call in and tell me the Niners aren't better off with freaking Fields running around the field, catching footballs from Brock Purdy. Please call in. I beg you. I beg you. Somebody that loves to hate on Fields right now, call in and tell me how your team is not better with this man running the football for your team as a wide back. Tell me. I'm all ears. 6th-round value. Call in. This is ridiculous.
It's comical.
It's ridiculous.
It really is comical. And the one player that's going to get the most out of this is going to be Pickens, because JF1 can't throw the deep ball, and that's Pickens' game. It's man, the Steelers they're coming out on top big time.
Yeah, it is great. This is madness. Absolute straight madness.
I still don't I don't know what to think about it, but
Calvin with the $10 hauler.
that-
As a backup, I'd pay the 6th-round all day long. At the very least, you could trade him. The trade deadline, exactly, plus having him learn like from a vet, etc., etc. Love it. Solid move. Like it. Thank you, Calvin. Appreciate you. The Steelers are the only one that the Steelers should be proud of themselves. They took advantage of something. This is very similar to the disappointment I had for on a much greater scale, because Christian McCaffrey is so much more impacting for his team. So obviously the level of disappointment was stronger for this, but to watch 30 other teams just not even take a stab at Christian McCaffrey. Like, Christian McCaffrey cost a 2nd, a 3rd, and a 4th. And that's about the dumbest trade and the lowest price tag you could find for a player that can literally take a good team and turn it into a Super Bowl contender. All you have to be is a good team. You get Christian McCaffrey, you're a Super Bowl contender. And this is obviously on a much lesser scale, but it's that disappointment that you can't, especially and I don't dig into my fandom very much at all on my show. I'm very, very unbiased about the Cardinals. But if I was to try an inward look, into my soul, and try and figure out what I feel right now, because I haven't digested this as a Cardinal fan. I have spoke about the Cardinals, but like I spoke on it about every other team that should be disappointed. All 30 teams that weren't involved in this should be absolutely disappointed in themselves. I don't understand how the Cardinals, I'm very, very dumbfounded, how the Cardinals didn't go down this road to give themselves like who was it that said it? The trade bait potential opportunity later, even. Like let's say you want to start Fields at some point. You could trade Kyler. Now Kyler is benched, he probably has less value, but I'm sure a team is willing to bank on Kyler. And if you had to go down that road, or Kyler's somehow gets hurt again because he's smaller, you have a running quarterback that's prototypical quarterback for your offense. This is a near plug and play situation. Same thing with Lamar. You get Fields in there, it's so much more plug and play. It's crazy to me. Crazy. The Pittsburgh Steelers did amazing.
You have like the Minnesota Why make? I mean, come on, what's going on there? Patriots, the Raiders. Like, there's so many teams
what are the Vikings doing?
Could have offered that.
Like if you're the Vikings, do this anyway and still draft your rookie if you want, whatever. I know some teams are worried about having Fields behind your quarterback and keeping your quarterback like looking over his shoulder. That's why the Bears couldn't have kept him, right? But if you're saying that, aren't you saying he's good enough? Like if you're worried about Fields making your quarterback look over his shoulder, isn't that you admitting Fields is good enough to be your starter? It doesn't make any sense, bro. It doesn't make any sense. Caleb Williams that pulls his shit in the bed on this one, hardcore, and I don't think Caleb. Look, I like Caleb. I think Caleb in Washington with Kingsbury would be fixable or moldable, sculptable, if you will, because I don't think he's broken necessarily, but I think there's some concerns. Okay, there's some concerns that a Kingsbury, his QB coach from USC, Kingsbury, this past season. Not seasons ago. This is his QB coach, his most recent QB coach. Kingsbury goes over to Washington to become OC. If Caleb fell there, I could get behind that. I could say, you know what? This guy knows this guy. He's going to sculpt him, mold him perfectly, work on his deficiencies, get him where he needs to be, and he won't slip through the cracks. But he goes to Chicago, Caleb Williams, where they failed Fields. They bring in Shane Waldron, and they expect Shane Waldron to get this job done. You could have brought in a handful of better OCs. Kellen Moore, Kingsbury, obviously, Ben Johnson and Slowick went back to their OC jobs, but like those are the types of moves you need to push hard and offer the world to get these guys in so you could have a master, a wizard, a quarterback wizard. Not he did good with Geno. He did. He's been in and out of the league for 20 years. Shane Waldron finally got a shot 3 years ago, and he did pretty good with Geno, don't you think? Yeah, go ahead and give that man to Caleb. Sure. Let's see what happens. Real quickly before I go to the other callers here, Tyler Boyd. Where's Tyler Boyd going to go, Kenny? I don't know. There's a lot of spots he could go to. I think Tyler Boyd's a decent wide receiver. I mean, it sucks that the wide receiver pool is dried up to the point where Tyler Boyd's one of the best options, but it is. Fields just left a losing organization to a winning organization historically. So this is good for him, says Ray G. I think, I believe Fields is going to rise up from this situation. And if he doesn't, it's still a fantastic move. Thank you, H-Town. H-Town says you're better than ESPN. You're better than ESPN, H-Town. Appreciate you. And Doom, Trey Lance cost me more than Fields. Man, thank you for the super chat, pal. Let me go over to Aurora. You're live. This is crazy.
Yes. Smitty, I mean, that is crazy. So I don't know if you remember a couple of days ago, because you talk about this, obviously all the time, hypotheticals and whatnot, but you asked a caller if he would trade Fields for, let's say, 2 third-round picks. And that guy said no. And I disagreed with that. If I thought he could be a starter, let's say, I would do 2 third-round picks knowing his upside. But this is just like for a box of used tissues. It's crazy. And like you said, I don't even think they care if it becomes a conditional pick. Because that way they're using him.
Yeah, he's totally worth it. So, you're like when you get a product that's so good and you paid for it, you're willing to like overpay. You're like, hey, here's extra, whatever. You tip somebody even in the tipping. That's what you're gonna feel like. If Fields is your starter and your future, you're gonna be like, I don't care, give him the 4th rounder. Let's go shake their hand about that. God, you gave me Fields for a 4th rounder. Give him another one. Like you're not gonna care at all. You're not gonna hold him back for a 4th rounder, a 6th rounder climb to a 4th rounder. But what's so crazy to me, and this goes to my Niner buddies, this goes to anybody out there that says Fields is trash, he's not a good quarterback. Do you believe that Justin Fields is a bad runner? The answer better be no, or why you even here? You better rethink what you're doing if you're playing fantasy football if your answer is he's not a good runner, okay? Is he a good runner? The answer is yes to every single one watching. if you're the Niners, if you're the Cardinals, if you're any team, if you're the Green Bay Packers who have Jordan Love on the rise, if you're the Kansas City Chiefs who have Mahomes, no one's ever unseating Mahomes. Mahomes could be out for the year and he's still starting. That's how locked in he is. You're not in, but you're telling me that you don't want to put the ball in the hands of Justin Fields and have him run 7 to 10 times a game? You're telling me you don't want to figure out some way to utilize this guy near the goal line? You're telling me that that's not the most attractive, weird slash piece player to pull into your offense for a 6th-round pick? There's nobody in the 6th round that has his running ability. Even if, and I don't agree he's a runner. I don't agree you changed his position. But like, you're telling me that he's not the best version of Taysom Hill we've ever seen in our lives? I mean, come on. For a 6th rounder, it'd be different if we're talking 2nd rounder and doing that. 6th rounder, give me a break.
Yeah. Yeah, and Smitty, the only reason, so as an Eagles fan, I've heard rumbles that they tried to look at Fields and kick that can, so it'll be interesting. Now, they got Kenny Pickett, obviously, but it'll be interesting to see if any other teams inquired about Fields. But one, I don't think, obviously, there was many. And two, on top of that, the only reason I can think of, unless if you're a team that has like Mahomes or Rodgers or whatnot, is that, I mean, and I'm not saying this is right, by the way, I agree with you, but I think teams didn't want that quarterback controversy to open up at any point their starter started to look, not that great. And I think that's what teams were a little bit worried about, because that's my only explanation to why so many teams were disinterested in moving. Because if this was the price all along, a 6th rounder that could be a conditional 4th, I mean, we've seen so many trades happen that are much worse.
What did I tell you guys the other night? Once Keenan Allen was traded for, that was their telegraph move. I told everybody that. Once they traded for Keenan Allen, that was them saying this whole facade of us, maybe keeping Fields, maybe drafting Marvin Harrison Jr. was out the window. The moment they took Keenan Allen on, we knew that they'd already said, okay, lower the the price tag and just, lower the price of the home. Slash it, $20,000 of the home. Just get rid of it. That's basically what they were saying by bringing in Keenan Allen. It was easy to see. The question was, where was he going to go? And we did bring up, Pittsburgh was not near my number 1 landing spot because Russell Wilson. It's hard to see this one coming completely. But we did have a question last night, a caller and people the night before, but like, what about Pickett getting traded away? Opening up a QB spot clearly made it, is this a Tomlin type move? Is this a move the Steelers want to take on so that they can be very, very secure at QB? And they haven't had a good QB in quite some time. It felt like it was a possibility, right? You thought Raiders were still heavily involved. You had the Getsy connection, even though that could be looked at as a bad thing. But the Raiders bring in Minshew. They got O'Connell. Maybe they're not involved. But that's no different than having Russell Wilson and taking on Fields. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't think that if the Raiders brought him in, it'd be any big shocker. You have 2 okay quarterbacks. Whereas here, Russell Wilson is more of a bigger name. So no different to me there. The Minnesota Vikings were they've had a vacancy, but they've been doing weird moves. But were they doing it for a quarterback? Were they not? There was a lot of opportunities. The Raiders felt like the most likely spot. The Pittsburgh Steelers were just sleeping, waiting on it, probably waiting on this price tag. But this is crazy to me. This price tag is absolutely embarrassing. It's embarrassing as much as the Lamar Jackson being franchise tagged last year, and I don't care that I was wrong on it. I don't apologize. I don't feel bad. I wouldn't change a thing. I wouldn't change a thing I said. I wouldn't change a thing I predicted when I said Lamar would be gone in a snap. If he was franchise tagged, he got franchise tagged, and I think I went live and probably said something along the lines of he'll be gone in minutes. And not a single team went after him. And it wasn't my bad. It was stupidity. This man went out and became an MVP. This guy went out and became an MVP, and these teams that passed on Lamar should be ashamed of themselves and embarrassed. Their mothers are ashamed of them. I'm ashamed of them, and they showed incompetence. And the fact that 30 teams didn't try, and maybe a couple were competing, and we find out and we could We can throw them out of this conversation. But the fact that you don't have literally 30 teams saying, good God, give me this man as my backup quarterback. My Cardinals, Ritter. Does anybody here believe Ritter is better than Justin Fields? Can I get a vote in the chat? Put Ritter or Fields. Ritter or Fields. Let me see the vote. Does anybody think Ritter is a better backup quarterback than Justin Fields? Please enlighten me. Let me go over to the Isaac real quick. The Isaac, you're live.
Smitty, what is going on? This is a total twilight kind of offseason in the NFL.
Love it.
I mean, this is the craziest mishandling of a QB ever. There is no controversy with Fields. I mean, he's damn near proof he can play in the NFL, and the Steelers just landed a superstar. I mean, for a 6-rounder, and a team even like the Browns, my team, who we all know that Watson's not going to work out, why, like you said, all 30 teams for a 6-rounder, and maybe they didn't know, and they're probably all sitting back, shocked, like, we can't believe that just happened. But just like a person said in the comments earlier, Fields is going to a winning organization, and they seem to always make moves like this long term. You know, I mean, and the Vikings getting Darnold, like, how is this even happening? And actually, I saw a guy today in the Bears shirt, and I said, "Hey, what are you guys gonna do?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna keep him. We're gonna keep him." I'm like, "No way, dude. There's no way. Everything's lining up to shed
you know
Fields,
what's crazy? You know what's crazy though? You know what's so crazy is, like, let me throw some truth at you here. This logic is mind bending. This is like crazy to just kind of explain to people, like, and try and get them to give you an answer. If you ask the Bears community, 50% of them wanted Fields to return passionately. They love him. They believe in him. And, you know, you normally don't have a fan base that hell-bent on keeping a guy that's been busting, you know, and he's been busting due to the organization, not due to Fields, in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinions here. But the crazy part is that many people wanted him, and not one team did. Like, this whole half the fan base wanted him, but not one, and even the Steelers don't want him to a degree, because they didn't trade for him as a starter. But so 31 teams don't view him as a starter, but half his fan base does. And then on top of that weird thing to think about is that 30 teams decided not to bring him in as a backup because probably they felt like it put too much pressure on their starter. Doesn't that tell you that they believe he's good enough to be the starter? If he's going to put so much pressure on that's the part that's so crazy. And I'm not saying they're worried about Burrow or, you know, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying those quarterbacks, but he goes somewhere where even you have like a Jordan Love, let's say, who's a rising star. Nobody called Jordan Love like this channel or me, so no one can say I have every right to say whatever I want on Jordan Love. If Jordan Love were to see Fields behind him, he might get a little bit nervous. Okay, that could spook him a little bit. I get it. I get why some teams might not be like, okay, this feels weird. You know, this is a guy that everybody thought was going to be a top 5-6 quarterback walking into the NFL. Everybody thought had big high expectations, and he's still very young. And you know, the number 1 overall pick is being compared to him, right? Because Chicago's either going to keep Fields. It's a very tough dilemma for them, right? We're going to keep Fields, or we're going to draft Caleb. It's very, very tough for us to decide. Very high expectations are still in place for Justin Fields until nobody trades for him. This is just mind-bending stuff. Just mind-bending. And I don't apologize a single bit for thinking this was going to go the other direction. Because I feel like it's logical. And I wouldn't change a thing of what I said.
This almost feels like a restart for Fields. Like, literally, he's just getting drafted, and now he's going to sit under an experienced quarterback. And eventually, halfway into the year, I'm sure there's going to be questions surrounding Russ, and Fields will take over anyway. But this is a massive win for Fields because it was never about Fields' playing capabilities. It was the organization that fumbled him. That's why it's just a complete mishandling by the Chicago Bears, and they had to point a finger on somebody and say, oh, we're just going to go get this rookie. He's never even played in the NFL. Fields has shown when healthy He can ball out.
Anybody that's gonna, like, I see a lot of people there are a lot of Fields haters. It's crazy. I know even in a live stream like this too, where we have some new people too. By the way, I don't want any of the new people to think I'm mad at you guys. If you're a Bears fan, I'm not mad at you guys. If you're an Arthur Smith believer, whatever, pitch your tent here. My opinion's my opinion. This is a great community. We're always here live. You'll get no more updated information than right here. You'll get no more live streams, daily live streams, than right here. So subscribe if you're new. Pitch your tent. You'll love it. But I see a lot of comments, like from the haters, at least from Fields haters. Hey, has he ever thrown for 3,000 yards? Hey, has he ever done this? Has he ever done that? And it's like, that's where the argument lies. Like, we're not going to get anywhere. This is like a two different political sides arguing about something. Why even go down the road? Because you're not going to be lined up at all to even have a conversation. So if you believe Fields isn't good enough, then that's where we part ways on the topic, and you just think what you think, and I think what I think. I don't care about what he did or didn't do. I believe, like the caller just said, the team failed him. The organization failed him. There's a reason why he has a new OC again. And he really should have a new head coach also, but that didn't happen. So whatever you think about what Fields has done or not done, I 100% do not blame Fields for what has happened and transpired. I've seen far too much with my own eyeballs to know he has the ability. Now, like I said last night, the night before, is Fields on a path to bust? Yes. Is Fields broken? Yes. Does Fields have a bum wheel right now that needs to have the tires retreaded? Absolutely. Is one of the shocks broken on this vehicle? Yes. If nobody fixed what was broken with Fields, would he crash and burn? Yes. I don't know how many times I've got to say that to people who think that I just blindly believe Fields is going to blow up no matter where he goes. He needs to be cultivated. He needs to be nurtured. He needs to be brought along and fixed and repaired, and he needs to be under the right house in order to thrive. And so had he stayed in Chicago, I already said I think Fields would bust out, and in a bad way. He would be a bust. Fields would be a bust, never become great, and fail out of the NFL if he stayed in Chicago. Now, do I think him going to Pittsburgh gives him a guarantee to rise up and become the player that we all wanted him to become in Chicago? Not necessarily, because I'm not saying Russell Wilson can't hang on to the job. I'm also not saying that the Pittsburgh Steelers don't fail him. Keep in mind, one of the worst offensive coordinators in the NFL is now his offensive coordinator. So, in a way, I almost want Fields to not be a part of the failure and come in and kind of look good and kind of save Arthur Smith a little bit, but Arthur Smith still get fired. You know, similar to how many coaches got fired that still perform well. I mean, look at the defensive coordinator Wilkes for the San Francisco 49ers. Held Patrick Mahomes to a pretty mediocre first half and gets fired after a Super Bowl. Like these things happen. So I would love to see Arthur Smith go to FedEx. His dad, I believe, owns FedEx. He's not going to be hurting for money. I never want someone to lose their job, but Arthur Smith can actually get fired and go get paid more. So we wish him well. But Arthur Smith cannot be involved in the long-term plans of Justin Fields. And so, again, to back up a little bit, I don't want anybody to leave this live stream saying Smitty thinks Fields is going to explode now. I don't know what's going to happen. All I know is that I'm glad he's out of Chicago. All I know is that he's got a ton of talent to work with in Pittsburgh. I mean, that roster's loaded. He's going to be fine in Pittsburgh, and they're going to do well drafting. They just have to get rid of Arthur Smith. And maybe Arthur Smith is going to be so controlled by Tomlin that we don't see even remotely close to the same Arthur Smith, or some of the decisions. I mean, Arthur Smith has been proven to be able to run the ball. And if that's going to be his focus, then maybe there's something that ends up happening here that's not the end of the world. But I certainly don't believe that this is something that you can say, oh, this move is amazing for Fields. Like, it's just bad. It's fantastic that he's out, but we don't know what it's gonna turn into. We have no clue. We can only just say, hey, at least he's been let free to fly, and we'll see if he can escape, the next roadblock. Because he's got more roadblocks in front of him. He's got Russell Wilson in front of him, Arthur Smith in front of him.
Motion and actually got a year to wait, possibly.
Ziggy, show me the front door. And even that, he's still got a potential. Like, let's say he moves on to the next team, but a team still believes in him. Maybe he rises up there, but you don't want that. Ziggy, show me the front door. You don't want that.
Okay.
You don't want that. You don't want him to fail because then it's an even higher likelihood that he doesn't survive, What do we got here? Ziggy off. Let's see. Anybody else want to dial in? Dial in. We got 800 people in the building. Hit that thumb up button on your way in the door. Appreciate you. Let's see here. This is the end of the world. Okay. I hate everything. Well, sorry about that. Not much I can help you with on that, bro. Okay. Superfish, appreciate you. I think I got all the super chats out of the way. Calvin says Caleb, Drake. Oh, no, these are new. I'm sorry. I haven't got to these yet. Calvin says Caleb, Drake, Jaden should all pull an Eli as punishment for Chicago's incompetence. JF Electric fans love him. Front office did him dirty. They absolutely did. They absolutely did. I know we're going to have a lot of differing opinions on here because we're getting a lot of, new people watching the show too, especially on breaking news. We do get a surge of new peeps, and that's because we do this live. That's because we're the only person that jumps on here, goes live for like an hour or two to discuss any major breaking news piece. So I welcome all those people. I want you to know you have a home here. There's no animosity. Just if you're a Bears fan and you think I hate the Bears, I don't. Let's see here. We got Dynasty Superflex. What's a fair future round pick to trade for Justin Fields? I'd do a second if we needed a quarterback, but maybe you could get away with something less than that because right now he's a backup, especially if you let the news marinate that's out there right now kind of floating. We don't know if it's completely confirmed, but ESPN's saying there won't be a QB competition, but you don't really know you want to wait a little bit. But once you have a feeling he's a backup, then you probably could give up a third rounder, or maybe you have a late second and you can give up the late second, or you have some other backup tight end that can help this person. Anybody that needs something and you have surplus of tight ends, for example, you'll be able to get Fields because they'll be kind of tempted to get rid of him. I don't know. Let's see here. I believe in Fields too. Okay, appreciate you, bro. And again, I don't know that Fields is going to work out here. I want to make that abundantly clear. I have no idea how this is going to shake out. This is a very, very cloudy situation for him with Arthur Smith and being that Russell Wilson's there. It's better because you don't want him in a failing situation, but he didn't go to an open door. He's got a bunch of obstacles in front of him, but I do believe he can overcome them. But it's not going to be an easy road. It certainly won't be an easy road. I'm more here to tell people that I just can't believe the value. I can't believe 6th round value. I think it's absolutely crazy. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. And I think it's so funny when we have Bear fans come in, Steeler fans come in, everybody's got their own opinion. No way Freiermuth is better than Komet, LOL. I think that same person said, do you really believe something around, do you really believe that the Steelers have more talent than the Bears? Well, I think it's very arguable, bro. Do you really believe you have so much more talent that that's an LOL type statement? Do you think anybody in here is going, oh God, yeah, the Bears are just you could have that opinion. I would Smitty approve any stance that someone had on that. I don't necessarily think the Bears don't have a lot of talent. Of course they have a lot of talent, and they got draft picks. There's going to be a lot of incoming talent too. But to act like you just pulverize the Steelers' talent and roster is fandom. You're speaking with goggles on that are this thick, and that's okay. We appreciate all viewers here. Those with goggles on, those without goggles on. But come on, bro. Travis, you're live.
Hey, Smitty.
What's up?
I missed the beginning of the show, so if I'm repeating anything, just let me know. But in terms of Patriots fans, I see like a mixed bag. I mean, I see a lot of people saying, "Oh, he stinks anyway. We don't want him." Which the same people were saying they wanted him.
Yeah, I know. I know.
A while back, but I genuinely would like to know if you asked Robert Kraft who Justin Fields is, if he would even know who he is.
I think he would, but I think he would, but I mean, unless he's so senile and we don't fully know if he's completely.
I don't think he's completely senile. I just don't think he's in touch as much as. I guess it depends on how much you want to involved. You know, I want them to know the players. I want them to have a clue. I don't know how involved he is anymore. Because you hear different things around here about how he's, not nearly as involved as he used to be, which I guess can be good, but they've never had a problem with him like mingling, But either way, it's frustrating just because of the price,
Yeah. Look, let me tell you.
Nothing.
Let me tell you something. If Caleb doesn't, if Caleb is a bust, and you won't know for sure right away, but if he looks like Zach Wilson did, if he looks like keep in mind, Sam, let me just paint a picture here. Sam Howell is not a high draft capital QB to the point where you're going to stick with them for a long time and give them chances. But keep in mind that he was the starter last year. He was their franchise guy, and they dumped him immediately after 1 year. So when I say this, I think Sam Howell even played fairly well, considering he was the most hit sack quarterback in the National Football League, and he did have some good moments in fantasy. And fantasy's not reality, but they go hand in hand in a lot of ways. You can't be great in fantasy for a month or two straight in the beginning of the year and not be playing well from an NFL perspective. Sam Howell was up there in the top 10 fantasy quarterbacks for the first month or two of the season. He was doing well. He got removed and replaced. And so when I say this, I'm not necessarily saying it in a way that I think Caleb would be replaced or anything. They're certainly going to, he's the number one overall pick. They're going to give him years. But if he goes out and looks like that, even that, or if he goes out and looks like a Zach Wilson, or he goes out and looks like any of these quarterbacks that have been supposed to be good for the last handful of years that haven't been, Poles is gone. Eberflus is gone. They definitely are in better position to buy themselves 2 years. But if Caleb is a bust, and you can tell right away, Eberflus is gone, Poles is gone, they're both gone. They literally had the keys to the castle. They could have built anything they wanted to build. And they will be gone. Now, if Caleb ends up being the next top 5 quarterback, then Poles will have made a very, very good move. And we can reflect upon that. And some of us will have to eat our words, me included. But the best quarterback in the draft, though, is JD5. It's crazy to me Caleb's even considered the top quarterback. To me, JD5 is by far no doubt about it. Just shoulders above. Just completely.
It's funny because it almost seems like a lot of analysts are just stuck. Caleb is the number one guy, and he can't move off of that spot. And we haven't had 4 days or anything yet. But I think, like you said, once the 4 days happen, you'll see JD5 jump up on a lot of people's boards. He's already getting some hype.
And the only thing, I've been saying it for months now. The only thing that you're going to have Chicago in, let's say Washington ends up wanting JD5. And as I predicted months ago, and everybody's starting to kind of come around on it, JD5 will be by half of the league and majority of fantasy football, owners, the communities, he'll be the number one quarterback over all the other quarterbacks. It's just going to take a pro day, some buzz, etc. Not only that, not only because of talent, but also because of fatigue. You're going to get that, top guy fatigue. And people are going to want to look somewhere else. And JD5 is going to present himself, and everybody's going to be like, that's our dude. He's the number one quarterback in this draft class. He'll prove it during his pro day. The fear here is that Chicago feels that way too. I don't think they will, but you never know. You never know. And they're going to start playing that game next. Mark my words. Ryan Poles' next move is Caleb might not even be the guy. and they're going to try and see what they can do to maybe move down, which I'm not saying is not a smart move. But the problem you're going to have with that is if you are hell-bent on Caleb, you know that Kingsbury wants Caleb more than anybody. You don't know what Adam Peters wants. You don't know what all the decision makers want in Washington. You also can't move down any further or you'll really miss your guy. So even if they feel like maybe Washington is starting to lean JD5 because of the pro days, et cetera, they can't even really take the risk because they don't know what Washington will really do. And if they have their guy, they got to stick with them. So at the end of the day, I don't think Chicago trades out. I think Washington, because I believe that Adam Peters is so smart, is such a good scout, he will know better than to pass on JD5. So, JD5 to the moon.
There's a chance that Kingsbury likes JD5 more than Caleb, don't you think? He wouldn't outright say it if he did, I would think.
Who likes JD5 more? Is there a chance that who?
Kingsbury.
Maybe. I don't think he's going to be like. I don't think I would be fully blinded by it. Like if I had coached a quarterback, I think I think I would be able to say like, I think you'd have an obligation to say that out loud, I guess. But who knows what he's really thinking? It's business. And JD5 hasn't climbed up into everyone's number one yet. But JD5 is going to be as good as Lamar Jackson, if not better. And everybody's going to, be upset at themselves for doubting it. Real quickly, let me go to Tyler. Tyler, you're live.
Yeah, I just got a quick thought about this Justin Fields thing. What if Caleb Williams is Bryce Young?
Well, that's what we think. Tyler, that's not news here on the show. We talk about that all the time. A lot of us don't like Caleb here. I think Caleb got red flag after red flag, and I don't, especially in Chicago with Shane Waldron, I think he busts. So that's exactly what I think.
That's why I totally agree with you. If they even take a QB, they should take Daniels. That's why I'm thinking if they do take Caleb.
But I don't want that. But I don't want that.
In NFL history, and the Chicago Bears are going to be the biggest joke in NFL history.
Yeah, I don't want them to take JD5. They'll fail JD5. They failed Fields. What makes anybody think they're not going to fail? They're going to not fail JD5. I don't want them going near JD5. I hope to God they don't draft JD5. I want JD5 in Washington. I'd rather have him in New England than Chicago. And New England doesn't even know what a receiver looks like. I hope a team like Minnesota trades up to get JD5. JD5 to JJ all day long. JD5 to LV thrown to Adams all day long. Washington, I think Adam Peters is so good. I mean, you can rip on the Eckler move and say he's washed. Most people that come in with a very strong stance on Eckler being a total for sure lock to bust is coming from a fandom perspective. Like I think everybody can admit there's a little allure. There's a little bit of intrigue to say, hey, he was kind of banged up all year. He looks really good right now in off-season workout videos and such. And going to a Kingsbury offense, air raid type of system, which he may or may not run fully, they've said, but I think they will at the end of the day. What's Eckler going to look like catching footballs in this offense and maybe getting back to more what he did before he became a workhorse back when Melvin Gordon left the Chargers, because Eckler was a top 5 running back as mainly a PPR guy. You know what I mean? He was, if people don't remember, Eckler was a top 5 to 7 running back as a PPR running back only. He didn't run the ball. And then when Melvin Gordon left,
Washington, there is nobody behind him. There's no Spiller. There's no Kelly. There's nobody trying to confuse him on what to do. It's just him.
Yeah. Clark says stop with JD5. Stop with JD5. Okay, Clark. JD5. 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 Clark, how long?
JD5 is heads above Caleb
how long
Williams.
do you want me to
That's
go?
why he beat Caleb Williams for a Heisman.
JD5. 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 How long should I go, Clark? JD5. JD5. Stop with JD5. JD5. How about I say it again? JD5. 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 You don't think I'll go all night, do you? Everybody in the chat, rain JD5. Say JD5 over and over and over. I want 2-3 straight minutes of JD5. Nothing but JD5. Just drop nothing but JD5. I'm gonna put them on screen. Everybody, 2 straight minutes. 2 straight minutes.
JD5 is 10 times better than Caleb, and last year.
Say it again, Tyler. Say it a couple times.
JD5 is 10 times better than Caleb, and last year proved it. It was a race to the Heisman, and JD5 basically took Caleb to school.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now that's probably one of the reasons why he doesn't take a physical. He doesn't run anything, and he doesn't dare throw, whether it be only to the Bears or Patriots.
Yeah.
Because it's the only team.
85 number one in any other class right now.
I
so.
know. Let me go back over to Travis. Travis, what else you got?
Not much. I'm just interested now to see. I think they'll take Caleb. Like you said, I don't think they're going to move on to JD5 kind of out of fear of that quote-unquote running quarterback, because people are going to label JD5 as that, I think, just because he ran a lot in college. But I'm interested to see how the rest of it shakes out, because there's not really no one else to. These teams at the top have to draft a quarterback unless they're going to go with backup-type guys at the position. So there's not really many more trade targets out there, unless the Chargers did something crazy and moved Herbert or something. But
yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see if they're willing to move out of these, like the Patriots. If they're willing to move out, that means they have their eyes on someone they think is going to fall, probably. Because I can't imagine they're willing to go into the season and Brissett is their number one.
Yeah. Clark's
just in tank again.
Clark says.
Clark Landry, good Lord, what have I done?
What have I done? I don't know, Clark. What have you done? Anyway, JD5 clearly my number one overall QB. You can make a case number one overall player. As much as I love Marvin Harrison, I think he's obviously the most. If you've got a quarterback, he's the top guy in the draft, no doubt about it. But if you don't have a quarterback, JD5 is by far and away the top guy. But, some people will come to that conclusion on their own. Some people will fight it because they're going to be, Excel sheet Erics and dig your heels in Dougs. And they're just going to be like, I'm digging my heels in. I said, Caleb, I'm riding this train until the very bitter end. JD5's too small. Like that dumb comment. I love when I see that. JD5's too small. What's wrong with you? Ziggy, how tall is Jaden Daniels?
Jaden Daniels is 6 feet 4 inches tall.
Oh, whoa. Whoa.
Yeah, he's going to fill out some.
Whoa. Ziggy, how tall is Jaden Daniels?
Jaden Daniels is 6 feet 4 inches tall.
Whoa. Whoa. Hey, Caleb, go get Jaden Daniels his lunch. Go get him his coffee. Anyway, wow. Fields. Predictions, do you think that he let's go around the phone line real quickly. Very quick answers, and then I'm going to cycle everybody off the phone line. Justin Fields, percentage chance.
Sorry, something went wrong.
Ziggy off. Percentage chance JD5. Look, I got JD5 on my mind. Percentage chance Fields unseats Russell Wilson by midseason and is the starter. Travis.
35-40%.
Okay. Let me go over to Aurora. Aurora, go.
Yeah, I would give it a 50% chance.
51%?
No, 50.
Okay.
I think it's 50.
Then it's going to remain a 6th-round pick. It's got to be 51% to get that 4th rounder. Okay, DeBalt, percentage chance that Fields unseats Russell Wilson by midseason.
I'm going to say by week 4, but at least 80%.
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one. Bob, you're live.
I'd give it an absolute 0% chance. There's no way in hell that they're going to play him more than 51% of the snaps.
Okay, Bob, tell us why.
Why would they do that? Why would they do that? He's been ranked the last 3 years, and you said that you don't want to hear his stats.
Here we go.
The only thing he's been ranked above like 25 would be TDs and interceptions.
Bob, we've
else,
already gone over this. There's no need to go down this road. Again, this is like two political parties trying to argue against each other. We're not even lined up to have this conversation. We can't even cross streams on this, okay? We're not even lined up. Okay? You're talking about something that we don't care about. I get that's where you're coming from, but you act like it's an absolute because he didn't produce in a horrible environment. That's like saying Bijan Robinson's not going to do well this year because he didn't do well last year. He was number 9 last year. How could he be number 1 this year? The circumstances, Bob, you're acting like the circumstances don't have anything to do with it. I respect your opinion if you don't think he's got the talent. If you don't think he's got the talent, fine. But stop talking about last year, what he didn't do, what he didn't get. If you just don't think he's good, your eye test, he doesn't pass your eye test, fine. But you can't use what happened in Chicago. Their play calling was awful. They got rid of their offensive coordinator because of it. And I just don't think that makes a good argument. That's not a concrete thing to me. If you don't like him, you just think he doesn't pass the eye test, fine, we'll move on. But Bob, those stats mean nothing to me.
He passes the eye test 50% of the time, but it's still a 0.
Okay.
Why would they play? Why would they play?
Because if Russell Wilson's playing like a backup, then they got to throw the other guy in. That's why. Him playing almost doesn't, like, as long as he's doing the right things in practice, they don't really know how he's going to perform on the field. Why would he play? The answer to that's actually very simple. If Russell Wilson's playing bad, then he would play. Now, the question is, will he play well? I think you would say no. But
I think they'll play him 50% of the time. As long as they don't have to give a 4th pick, they'll play him 50% of the time. At some point.
That sounds different than your answer now. I don't know. I thought you said 0%. You mean 0% he plays 51?
Yeah, 0% 51.
So you're hell bent on you come in with a 50.0? What's going on here, bro? You came in like the Thunder, bro. You came in like this was 0% chance he hits the field. You're like 0% chance he plays 51% of snaps. I think he plays 50. Oh, Bob. Bob, you work in accounting?
I was going to do the CPA route, but the CFA, Chartered Financial Analyst.
I knew. Are you really a CPA?
No, I'm not a CPA. I just said I wanted to do that, but I want to do the CFA route.
Okay, so you actually are going into a line of work parallel to that, though. It makes sense.
Right.
Bob from accounting. Appreciate you, Bob. Bob, thank you for calling in, though. I do appreciate you. It takes balls to call in, and I give you that. Thank you, Bob. Bob, are you a Niner fan, Bob?
No, sir.
Chargers. Okay, who's your? Okay, so let me ask you a question. Do you think Herbert's going to be good?
I mean, I think he'll put up decent numbers, but they got to get some people for him to throw to.
But you're able to overlook his downfalls over the whole handful of years he's been playing.
I can't, but I think a lot of that's coaching wise.
And not for Fields?
That's a different situation now. That's
How?
a totally different.
Why?
Well, I mean, Justin Herbert had like a 4.0. Justin Fields no 4.0. Herbert, chemistry. Justin Fields, probably communications. The one coach for the Raiders, who's got the whole debacle with the NFL.
Let me tell you something about that logic, bro. Jason Kidd. Do you think Jason Kidd was a good player in the NBA?
Yes, he's a great player.
Yeah. That guy came to Phoenix, and you know what the first thing he said was, "I'm going to turn this team around 360 degrees." That guy was not very sharp. He was an amazing basketball player. Okay, Brett Favre failed all kinds of tests. What did he get on his? What's the test that they take? It was like a 7. Like Brett Favre. Brett Favre was as dumb as a box of rocks on those tests and on paper. Absolute legend. So like you could say what you want about what he majored in or what his GPA was, bro. I didn't even go to class. In my master's I got a 4.0. A 4.0. In my bachelor's I barely went to school. I barely passed that sucker. My bachelor's was just a hair shy of being a C average. Like, who cares? You're playing football. Your 4-year degree. Some of these guys don't have time to do all that. And half the guys are getting people to take their test for them. Come on, Bob.
Regardless, Herbert's
get your math right. What, Bob?
I said, regardless, Herbert's going to have a better situation. It doesn't matter where Justin Fields goes. It really doesn't.
Okay.
He's got the legs. He can run it, but at this point, it doesn't really matter. And who's he going to throw to? Who's he going to throw to? Pickens? Is that it?
Pickens, Freiermuth. And Pickens is pretty good. Last I checked. Jalen Warren, Najee Harris. They got a draft. They got a draft.
I would say they're going to draft someone.
Yeah, they traded Stonehands, Deontay Johnson to get open spot so they could bring somebody in.
If they design the system around his legs, he might be able to put up.
Did you just say Did you just say who's he going to throw to? Who's Justin Herbert going to throw to? Bob, your golden boy Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert has one wide receiver named Quentin Johnson. He can't catch a cold, and he's a body catcher. And you come in here and you say, who's Justin Fields going to throw to? Who the hell's your quarterback going to throw to, bro?
They got a top 5 pick. They could easily pick somebody.
So the Steelers could easily draft somebody, and they got George Pickens, and they got Freiermuth, and they got what's the rookie tight end's name too? Darnell or
Washington.
They have a history of being very harsh on their QB.
Hey, can I just say,
Big Ben, before he left, he started blowing some whistles and letting people know, hey, it ain't working out too well.
Bob, I do appreciate you. I do respect you. I do disagree with you 100%, but I do feel like you are a pretty biased Chargers fan, and for whatever reason, you're very biased against Fields. Because
I'm an Ohio State fan. I liked him when he was. I liked him when he was there, but something has happened.
But you literally called it. You literally called in to take a hardline stance on 0% that this guy plays 51% of the snaps, and then you followed it up with he'll play 50. You literally.
Well, if he plays, then he'll play the minimum amount needed to ensure that they don't have to give a 4th-round pick.
They don't care. They're not gonna.
They don't care about that.
They want to win game. Tomlin wants his regular season winning game record intact, bro. Darnell Washington, thank you.
I honestly.
And that's why.
They don't care about a 4th-round pick. If Fields is good, they're gonna play him.
It all depends, like you said. If Wilson is good, like to the point they're winning, they won't like him probably. If Wilson slips up at all, which he probably will, fans are going to start clamoring for him. And Fields, when you have a guy with that ability, a big arm, and can run around and make things happen, it's going to be way too tempting to put him in the game, I think.
Yeah.
DeBalt, we'll see you later.
Done in Denver.
DeBalt, we appreciate you. DeBalt had the bill. Man, I just can't believe the Fields hate. The Fields hate's out of control. It's so out of control. It's out of pocket. It has to be. It's either rooted very, very much in hatred for the Bears or very much hatred for I don't know, Ohio State, or very much hatred for just every team that's not the person's team that's talking. It's crazy. It's crazy that everybody just thinks this guy doesn't get a chance to go into a new environment. Chicago is clearly a problem. This is a problem location and landing spot. You know, it's not like a lot. And this goes to JD5 going to Chicago. I don't want it because I don't know what's going to happen. If JD5 goes to Chicago, I'm really pissed off because I don't want even a smidge of a chance that he could bust. And in Chicago, I don't know what's going to happen. I believe Fields would have been very successful if he wasn't in Chicago. I believe what we saw Fields do in 2022 with a janitor crew catching footballs. And one reason I can't stand Poles at all is because of what he did to Justin Fields. He stripped that team down bare bones. I know he was trying to save cap money and build for 2023. I get it. I'm not a moron. But when you put him out there with no protection, you put him out there with no wide receivers, and you say good luck, it's kind of like in Spartacus. If anybody's seen that, one of the best TV shows on Netflix, go watch Spartacus. You will not be sorry. I think it's on Amazon Prime too. But it's like when they send Spartacus down to the underworld or whatever it's called to go fight. It was like, if you make it out, then, you know, you have a place here. Like Fields was sent into the underworld to go carry the team on his back, throwing to janitors. And in 2022, I'm talking in 2022, not paying attention. And he got injured that year. He had nobody to throw to. And it was a garbage situation for him. And Poles put him in that position. And instead of giving him some support, letting him cultivate, his growth was stunted because during that year he couldn't develop. And what did he do? Ran for a crazy amount of yards. I believe, if I'm right, in 2022 he only had 11 INTs. And so he made good decisions when you're tucking and running for over 1,100 yards on the ground. You're absolutely making impromptu decisions and probably putting yourself in a position where you may be throwing an INT here and there. You're trying to make something out of nothing. You're fumbling the ball. You're losing and turning the ball over. Instead, Fields walked out of 2022 looking absolutely phenomenal. You know, he looked like a phenomenal prospect because we saw him with a bare bones team, a janitor wide receiver crew, nobody to throw to in 2022. We saw him come out of that and say, okay, you made it out. Kind of. He got hurt a little bit. He made it out. Poles is like, congratulations. Thanks for putting on all that unnecessary mileage. And now we're going to give you some weapons, right? But he's like broken at this point. And I know what people are going to say. He didn't do this. He has that 3,000. Yeah, you look at this yardage. He's done this. He didn't look good here. But my eyes don't lie to me in weeks 3 and 4 or during 2022 when he ran the way he did. He's got so much pure talent that hasn't been developed at all. And you get rid of Getsy, you're starting over again. Like, he hasn't had a chance. So, and the worst part about this situation, if we're going to hit this from a negative point of view, is now he goes to a cloudy situation. Now he's the backup quarterback. That's why I'm ashamed of 30 other teams. He's a backup quarterback in a situation that isn't going to hand him the starting job. And Arthur Smith's his offensive coordinator, meaning he's going to probably have another OC again. So how is he going to learn and develop with a new OC in 2025 or 2026, however long it takes Arthur Smith to get canned because he's horrible? It's just like, it's frustrating to me because I don't know if Fields is going to make it out of this. I just know he's in a better situation. He's kind of like his boat's caught up at sea and can't get away, so he's gonna drown. He has no water, but all of a sudden a storm comes by, knocks his boat loose, and it's at least free now. But it's still roaming a big wide ocean, and maybe he's gonna starve to death, get hit by a wave, get eaten by a shark. He's not any sort of lock to deliver in Pittsburgh. But at least his boat is free. At least he has at least a chance now. That's how I look at Fields here. If anybody walks away from this live stream thinking I'm telling you he's going to the moon, I've already said this. I have a Pittsburgh Steelers live stream where we talk about Fields going to Pittsburgh. For the silly commenter in here, I think it was H, that said something like Smitty, you said he wouldn't go to Pittsburgh, or was it H, or maybe it was Niners? I think it was Niners, maybe. Sorry, H. But you said other things. Take a lap for those things. But I think it was Niners says you were ridiculing people for saying you go to the Steelers. Niners doesn't pay attention to anything. He comes in once in a while and leaves these comments that make no sense at all. I did a live stream, an entire Pittsburgh Steelers live stream. And remember, that's when that guy started screaming and yelling at me on the phone line. And he said, "Oh, now you love Fields with Arthur Smith, and you didn't like Arthur Smith before." And I said on that live stream, if Fields goes to Pittsburgh, this is before Russell Wilson, even as the starter, with Arthur Smith, he's not going to be on my fantasy rosters. I will not draft Fields as a fantasy starter, I said on that live stream before Russell Wilson, if Fields goes to Pittsburgh and has Arthur Smith as his offensive coordinator. So I don't know how clear I can be on how I view this situation fully. Not only do I not draft him to be any sort of fantasy football impact this year, but I wouldn't have even if Russell Wilson weren't here because of Arthur Smith. The dynasty's a little different. How I'm hopeful about him unfolding later is different. But that's the case. That's how I feel. All right, let me go to Bob real quick, and then what? Bob, final thoughts. Quick one sentence conclusion. Go.
Hopefully he undoes whatever bad habits he acquired in Chicago.
Thank you, pal. We'll see you, Bob. Get back to that, the finances, bro. Later. Aurora, final thoughts.
Yeah, my quick thought is I think you could be a GM, Smitty, because the value is just underappreciated.
Bro, I swear to you, I know I have a chance. I'm admitting this. I'm being objective. There's a chance I burn a franchise to the ground, and I never give the keys over to someone like me ever again. But I think there's at least a 75-80% chance I could take a team like the Steelers or like the Washington Commanders or even the Patriots. I could take Travis's Patriots to the top. 80% chance I win a Super Bowl within 3 or 4 years in 20%, maybe 5% chance it's just mediocre, and then the rest of it I could burn it to the ground. But I would have went and got Fields at number 3 overall without a hesitation. I'm sorry. Would have got Fields with a third round. I would probably trade a second round pick. That's why I say I could burn a little bit to the ground. I would have traded a second. I would have traded a second round pick for him, and then I would have drafted Marvin Harrison Jr. at 3. I would have had Fields, Marvin Harrison Jr., Ramondre Stevenson, and I would have taken the New England Patriots to the moon. If I was the Las Vegas Raiders, I would have brought in Fields. I'd draft probably Brian Thomas. I'd keep Zeus in as my running back. We'd take it to the moon. If I was the Minnesota Vikings, I would trade for. I would probably trade for Fields, and then use the 11 and the 23 on defensive pieces and take the Vikings to the moon, or offensive line and defense easily. But hey, Aurora, appreciate you. We'll see you later, pal.
All right, see you, Smitty.
Later. George from the Bay, have you even talked yet?
No, I've been waiting patiently for 14 minutes.
You've got the ability to interrupt if you ever need to, but go ahead. Appreciate you waiting. George, you got the floor, man. You don't have to rush. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. So I just got home from work.
Okay, Travis, appreciate you, Travis. Thanks for moderating, and maybe we'll be live on the Dynasty channel tonight. I'm not sure. We'll see you later.
All right. Thanks, man. Bye.
Yeah. Travis to the moon. Go ahead, George.
Yeah, just got home from work. Saw that you were live. Totally just blown away by this. I'm going to play devil's advocate here. I think this is probably the best spot for Fields to go to.
Could be.
He gets to sit behind Russell Wilson, who had a really good year last year, statistically, right? He's a veteran. I think eventually he will take over the starting job. I know that we've got these, negative thoughts about Arthur Smith, but, if you look at the 2 years where he was offensive coordinator in Tennessee, they were a top offense in both of those years. Over 2,500 yards rushing for the season. So I think the run game, while he's the coordinator, is going to be really good in Pittsburgh. And you just need someone to game manage at quarterback, which I think Russell Wilson can do. And I think eventually what's going to happen is Russ is probably going to get hurt. Fields will come in halfway through the year, and he will not let go of that starting job because he's going to have those 8 games sitting behind Russell, learning from a veteran, which he hasn't had, especially someone who can cook, right? Russell knows how to read defenses. He's played in Super Bowls. I think this is going to be a good spot. I mean, look at what the Steelers did. I mean, I'm blown away. They got this guy for next to nothing. Less than nothing.
Nothing, bro.
Nothing.
This is why 30 teams.
And we sit here
30
and
teams.
We've been talking all week. We've been talking all week about how these teams can go get this guy, and nobody pulled the trigger, and the Steelers did, and they got him for nothing, which is truly amazing. I mean, have we had a Ron Navy sighting in this show? Because I don't know, but I mean, he must be ecstatic.
Well, he's kind of like down on Tomlin, and I think if I had to be honest with you, and Ron, if Ron's watching, I hope he doesn't take offense to this, but if I had to guess, Ron's probably in a little bit of a confused place right now because he's been riding the anti-Tomlin train so hard that if he likes this move at all, he's probably trying to dial back his feelings a little bit and try and digest it, because let's be honest, it's starting to go in a better direction. So we'll have to see.
Yeah, he's probably having some bipolar moments. He's probably excited. He's sad. He's excited. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm not even a Steelers fan. I'm just a football fan. I'm a Justin Fields fan, and I'm excited about this landing spot, and I'm excited about what this offense could be with Arthur Smith. You know, if you look at those 2 years, like I said, top 3, top 4 offense in both years. You know, rushing the football. I think 2020 they were second in the league with 2,700 yards rushing. So
I hear you, but we got to, if we're gonna play that game, what has he done lately? You know, can you go back in time?
Was he the offensive coordinator last year? I mean, he was the head coach. You know, was he making those decisions? We don't really know.
Yeah, I have said it before that there's a shot that he comes in and and I even said it on this live stream, there's a shot that Tomlin controls more than we think, and that he's focusing on the run only, and then we like that. We don't love it, but we're like okay.
The downside to those 2 years, though, when he was offensive coordinator with Tennessee, the passing game wasn't excellent. They were averaging 180 yards per game. You know what I mean? But the run game, and you know what Pittsburgh loves to do, smash mouth football, good defense.
But here's here's the problem, though, bro, is they already had a good run game. You know, Arthur's not going to bring a whole bunch of life to that. You know, I think it's good that they have somebody that could maybe, not, roll it backwards or anything. But at the end of the day, it's I want the passing attack mind to be there, because you're bringing in 2 quarterbacks finally. So it's what he's done with Ritter, the fact that he's never really had that elite passing attack, and it's all just about the run. I don't think that that's a need that they had. I think that they'll be able to run with pretty much anybody.
What if Arthur Smith said to Tomlin, he said, "Go get me Fields"? What if he said that? I mean, look at what Fields brings to his offense.
I know, but what I would say to you is that can't you bring him in as the running backs coach? Why has he got to be the offensive coordinator? I'm still very pessimistic about it. I still don't draft Fields. Even if Fields is starting, I'm still very cautious about whether I would use him in fantasy. I'd be excited.
You've got a broken heart from last year. That's what you got.
I think I've got prove it to me before I ever believe you again. It's not so much a broken heart. It's more logic, bro. I mean, Arthur Smith is incompetent to not know that Bijan Robinson, their number 8 overall pick, was their goal line running back. When it's first down and 8 and you have the ball you have 4 downs, you don't run Bijan even one time over and over and over and over again.
Yeah,
you're proving
they mismanaged Bijan.
It's not mismanaging though. It's proving incompetence. And just like Bill Belichick was so good back in the day, how long can we bring that over and say Bill's good at this? Bill might have lost it. Arthur Smith may have lost it. He lost his cool at the end of that game that probably cost him his job. Thank God he went nuts on the field after that game, or maybe they wouldn't have had a reason to nudge him out. But I hear what you're saying, and I'm not writing it off. I've definitely already said, even on this live stream, that maybe Tomlin has more control than we think, and Arthur Smith is really there for the run, and he does some good stuff. And that's fine. That's fine. But I do hope that he has the right QB coordinator. Who's the QB coordinator in Pittsburgh? Does anybody know?
The coordinator. Let me see.
QB or QB coach. Let's see, coordinator. Who is that? Sullivan?
Mike. Yeah, who's that guy?
He was a senior offensive assistant, I think, for Pittsburgh for a while.
Yeah, he was also the offensive coordinator, the offensive coordinator last year. I guess when they fired.
Yeah.
What's his name?
I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know. All I know is like I'd be a lot more excited if you had kind of what was going on in L.A., the Rams situation last year. You had like Zach Robinson was the QB coordinator, and he's become the OC in Atlanta. Like if they had brought in a guy, and it doesn't look like they did, that would have been like a marvel, like a hidden gem type QB, architect, then it'd be a little different. I might be like, you know what, we're not looking at this the right way. But I don't think I sense that. But anyway, hey,
last year for fantasy, we were all like, I mean, myself included, we were all kind of hyped on, the possibility of Pickens and Najee Harris in that offense. And I think just this year alone, that quarterback room is 100% better than it was last year. Mason Rudolph, Kenny Pickett, and Trubisky. You know what I mean? Now you got Russell Wilson, who's a competent quarterback. It was cooking last year. 18 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
very efficient.
And you had a coaching staff in Denver that wanted to bench him because he wouldn't rescind his injury clause. Like that's why Denver was almost as bad as Chicago for Fields. I did not want him going there.
The reason why they wanted to bench him was for that purpose. It wasn't because he wasn't.
No, I know. I mean, I've gone over that. I'm just saying, like, that was debacle.
Yeah, I mean, look, going forward, I'm definitely going to be riding on this Pittsburgh offense. I'm going to have my shares of Pickens. I'm probably going to draft some Wilson. I'm definitely going to speak in some fields. But I mean,
be cautious with Pickens, bro, because of what you even alluded to. Like Arthur Smith doesn't have a high potent, offensive passing attack. Like it doesn't happen. But we'll see. We'll see what happens, man. We'll see. Their defense, their run, and then there's not going to be a lot of room for being a top 10 or top 12 passing attack. So Pickens will probably get, all diva-like on us if he's not getting the football. We might see a little Stephon Diggs come out and George Pickens' behavior. I'm a little bit skeptical.
Well, you know what? Last year was my first year playing Underdog Fantasy. Promo code Smitty. Everybody go sign up. And I did pretty damn well. So I'm going to definitely come back this year, and I'm going to win some more money, man.
All right. Hey, appreciate you, George from the Bay.
Yep, for sure, man.
All right, later. All right, Rock Out. What's up, Rock Out?
Yeah.
You're on mute, bro.
Basically, Steelers got a deal as far as getting him. I'm like, why did Minnesota or any other teams didn't try to get him?
No idea. Incompetence.
I'm like, literally nothing.
Incompetence, bro. Incompetence, but I mean, at least he's in a place where, like I said, he's kind of like that boat that's lost at sea, but it's trapped on some like tied up in some sort of like seaweed, and he can't get away, and he's feels this is gonna wither away there, and then some lightning storm or thunder or waves break it free, and he's on this boat headed toward nowhere, but at least he's free. I want zero part of anything Arthur Smith involved. That's the way I feel, Perps, for the most part. But yeah,
like
and even if you are a Najee fan, you're like, well, at least they can run. Well, do you know if Najee's getting all the work, or is it going to be unpredictable like it was in freaking
Warren?
Atlanta, or not even Warren? Who's the third running back on the Ziggy? Who's the third running back on the Pittsburgh Steelers depth chart?
According to an Alexa Answers contributor, Najee Harris and Jalen Warren are the Pittsburgh Steelers starting running backs for the 2023
Oh, no.
Ziggy off.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't think they have a third.
Let me look it up real quick. But yeah, Ziggy's not feeling it. He's not feeling it at all. Pittsburgh Steelers depth chart. Let's just see what they got. It's probably a fullback. Graham. Alfonso Graham. That's the guy.
Apparently.
I'm going to take a screenshot of this. We're going to put this on screen. That's the guy. Is he? Should we just?
New Patterson.
Should we just put him on the Moon Man list now, boys?
Yeah, New Patterson.
Should we just put him on the Moon Men now? And just kind of speed through the technicalities of it, you know? Alfonso.
Maybe.
I never thought that a boy named Alfonso would be a sleeper breakout running back here. He's questionable too, but he's still going to do it live. That's your guy. That's the number one running back. That's the goal line. One of the best goal line running backs in the National Football League, according to Arthur Smith. Oh, yeah. In Blackbeard, Taysom Hill, that's what I've been saying all show, man. For 30 teams to not walk into this situation and go, give me this man, he's now our Taysom Hill. For 30 teams to not think of Fields this way at the very least, I don't care what Fields wants, that you'd bring him in and do it. But for 30 teams to not bring in Fields as their Taysom Hill is incompetence at 6th round value. Incompetence. It's inexcusable. Not to mention what it does for you in like if you're the New York Jets. How are the New York Jets not a better team with Justin Fields on the roster? How are the New York Jets not protected and have Super Bowl aspirations no matter what happens to Aaron Rodgers with Justin Fields on the roster? How is this team not, and I'm not saying even want it for Breece Hall because we don't want anything taken away from Breece Hall, but from a football perspective, how do the Jets not bring him in and say, you're going to wide back this thing, you're going to Taysom Hill this thing? You know, maybe it's more running than it is receiving, like Taysom Hill would be tight end, wide receiver, running back, quarterback. This would be more quarterback, running back, wildcat type stuff. You know what I mean? So, like, it's crazy to me. Crazy to me. No one's saying he has to be the receiving part of it. I'm saying, why can't he be QB running back, wide back? Why can't he do something to that degree? I mean, and he can still catch the ball. Like, he's a quarterback. He takes shotgun snaps. He's got hands. He can catch the ball at or behind the line of scrimmage. That's not a problem. All right, rock out. Anything else, bro? What a night.
That's about it. Just mind-boggling why no other team got him.
Yeah. Crazy, man. Crazy. What a live stream, though. 537 of you in here, including Twitter. We got 324 from YouTube. We're not going to stream to Twitter all the time. I've been doing it lately to get people aware of the YouTube channel. So if you're watching on Twitter, make sure you're here on the YouTube channel, or eventually you might stop seeing the live streams. I don't know that I wanted to stream it all the way. It's exclusively YouTube for the most part. But this breaking news free agency, I've been trying to double dip just to get some people aware of the show. So if you're watching from Twitter, subscribe, youtube.com/The Fantasy Football Show. Just search The Fantasy Football Show on YouTube. This is a breaking news show. It's not just about fantasy. It's about NFL news. Whenever news breaks, we go live. Whenever big news breaks, anyway. And someone says, how old is Russell Wilson, Ragey? Ziggy, how old is Russell Wilson?
Russell Wilson is 35 years old.
35.
He was born on November 29th, 1988.
Yeah, I mean, Ziggy, how old is Justin Fields?
Justin Fields is 25 years old and was born on March 5th, 1999.
Big difference, ladies and gentlemen. That's why I say Fields is the future in Pittsburgh. I like it for the long term. Don't know what I feel for 2024, but I like it for the long term. Rock out. Appreciate you, bro.
All right.
You the man.
Thanks.
Tyler, final thoughts real quickly.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for all of that you do, and I just think that we need to cool it on some of these coaches, because the guy that's moving from Tennessee is now going from Old Man River Tannehill to now Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. Big difference.
I mean, no one's denying that there's going to be an upgrade, for him. We'll see what he does.
But now he has two guys that have a cannon for an arm,
but
a guy that can't throw it 3 feet.
But I think the difference, though, is that he still has what appears to be incompetent decision-making about personnel. You know, so it's good that he's being handed somebody and not having the ability to say, no, don't bring in Fields. No, don't bring in Russell Wilson. Good God, bro. If he was the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, let's say Arthur Smith was brought over, they fired Tomlin, you probably would be looking at Pickett starting next year. Because I don't think he's got the ability to go get these guys. Now, I'm speculating, but I would say that it seems right. It seems par for the course, given the way he didn't realize what he had in Bijan Robinson. Given that he didn't use Drake London, given that he didn't use Kyle Pitts. Ziggy, show me the front door.
Okay.
Ziggy, show me the front door. What's this guy doing?
Okay.
Let's see what he's doing. What's he doing? Can I help you? Hello? Hello? Sir. Let's see. He can't. I don't know why he can't hear me. How long is he gonna stand there? Ziggy, show me the front door. What are you doing? Come on, Ziggy. Could be breaking in right now.
Here are some results.
Ziggy, show me the front door. He's worthless.
Okay.
He's worthless. He's worthless. He's still in the same spot. This guy doesn't move. Sir, I'm live. And honestly, whatever you have, I don't need. The guy didn't even look up. Keep walking. Keep walking. Keep going. Shoe. Shoe. Oh, bro. He's on a loop. They're trying to get in here. They want to take down the show. And somebody set up that he's on a loop. the guy's like, I'm sorry, Tyler. I forgot you were there, Tyler. But anyway, I hear what you're saying, but I still think that Arthur Smith's got more to prove. Like, he doesn't get I don't heed the road and forgive Arthur Smith. There's just no way.
Yeah, I mean, like, he does have more to prove.
Yeah,
but he's going
yeah.
From,
So,
like,
am I
what,
optimistic?
a little kid to a guy that won a Super Bowl.
Right. Am I optimistic more than he, than I should be? Probably, maybe a little bit. But can anybody go in and trust him yet? They shouldn't. No.
Yeah.
All right, bro. Appreciate you.
Bye.
Later. Okay. That guy. Someone's up to no good when they don't even look up. There's something about somebody that looks down. And if anybody looks down or they specifically turn their back to the door, it's usually they're up to something. Whether it's just trying to get you to, like say someone's trying to serve you with a speeding ticket or something like that. Whatever the case may be, someone's not looking up. They're doing their best to look distracted, and they don't want to make eye contact whatsoever. They're up to something. I could tell you, this is psychology here talking, okay? Anybody that's not up to something is trying to smile, trying to make it look like they're... This guy was distracted because he was like, please open the door, please open the door, please open the door. Should a FedEx trust fund baby be trusted? No. No. Ziggy off. Good work today, Zig. The Zigmeister pulled through today. He did. He went down for a minute, but then he brought it back up and... All right, we'll see you all later. Appreciate you. Thank you for calling in. If you called in. Celebration in Chicago. Poles fleece the Steelers. Okay, sure. You're late. You're late to the party. And Poles fleece the Steelers. Oh, the Bears logo just does the trick. Oh man, how thick are those goggles you're wearing, Nano? Are they like the prescription 8-inch ones, or like what's going on with that? you guys got fleeced to the moon, Nano. You guys got worked over like no other. That was the worst. That was probably one of the worst. Honestly, it's probably one of the worst trades we've seen in a long time. You know what I mean? Like you either keep them, and that's a bad spot to be in with Caleb, no doubt. But that was one of the worst trades, and assessments. Superfish, I'm sorry. There's super chats here. God, I got to do better. I'm sorry. I vow when they come in, I will read them. I don't know if my alert thing is not showing me the super chats. I'm sorry about that. I will read them when they come in. This has kind of been a crazy live stream, so I apologize. Superfish, DeBalt, you still here? DeBalt said JF1 finally has the good organization. Yes, DeBalt, hope you're still here. I think he had to leave, though. DeBalt, thank you. One, on size, they all said Doug Flutie was too small, but he was a Tiger and played in the league for 20 years. On schooling, QB Dobbs was a rocket scientist, but how is that working out? And Brett Favre literally got a 7, allegedly. I'm making these up for humor on whatever test they scored. Maybe it was a 7. It might have been a 7 or an 8. Brett Favre. Jason Kidd, one of the dumbest players in the history of the NBA, is one of the smartest on the court. You know, he came to the Suns and said, I'm going to turn this team around 360 degrees. And everyone's like, what? What, Jason? You mean you're going to put us right back where we are? What in the hell's wrong with you, Jason Kidd? Thank you, Superfish. And that was a $10 hauler, so you get a moonshot.
To the moon.
Superfish. Oh, please tell me you tell me you were joking and you're not coming in to argue this, Nano. I haven't even looked at your message yet. Please tell me you're just saying, just kidding. We give them up for nothing. Let's see what Nano says. Actually, I'm not going to even read it. I'm going to have the computer read it while I take a sip of my water. I'm taking my daily, I'm trying to drink my daily 64 ounces. It's the most I can muster up.
Nano CBDU watch tape best trade Coles has ever made after the number 1 pick this year.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's the worst comment we've ever. That's the worst comment we've ever had, Nano. You're really out there, bro. Woo! Nano's really out there. Wow. The best trade pull. If that, you know, that actually might be true. Oh, all right. Well, I'll see you all later. I imagine we'll be live on the Dynasty channel at some point tonight. I imagine. You know. All right. I'll see you all later. Maybe Nano too. Nano, I don't know if this is the right show for you though, bro. You're going to hear some things that we got to get you a nice set of earmuffs you can put on about 50% of the time. I'll see you all later. Silver's in the building. Sick Nasty, thank you for moderating. Travis Rowe, Blackbeard, Vampy if he's in here. Space Ricky if he's in here. Perps dropping everything he's done today. Appreciate everybody in here. We'll see you all later. Live Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, every single Monday through Friday. Thanks, Travis. Thank you, FDC. Thank you, Ray. Thank you, Terry Roberts. Terry Roberts, moderator in the house. Superfish, appreciate you. Silver, appreciate you. Kyle Style, appreciate you. Jeff, appreciate you. Sean, Sick Nasty again. Kenneth. Andrew. Perps again. Appreciate you. Nano, thanks for making me almost drowned. H. Kind of appreciate you. Woods, appreciate you. See you later. Live whenever big news breaks, Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. We're live then, too. We're always live. That's how we roll.
Leave it on the fields.
Just in time.
Fields of dreams.
Fields like making love.
Outstanding in his fields.
Fields so good.
Fields General. My fields good. Uneven playing fields.
Battlefields tested.
Fields. Fields. He's for reals.